Hello and welcome back to the PokeBros. My name's Tim.
My name's John.
And together we are the PokeBros. And today we are two of us PokeBros again. I am back. Thank you for all of your comments asking if everything was okay. We are all good here and excited for another episode of the PokeBros. But before we get there, we say it every time, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. If you're watching on a mobile device, flip it round, hit the subscribe button, hit like. It really helps us with the algorithms and we're so grateful. We're smashing way above 800 subscribers now, way further than we ever thought we would be. But make sure that you head over to the Champions Path giveaway, which will be in this link here, where we're giving away over £100 worth of Champions Path content. And there's only just over a week left to enter that, or maybe even less than a week. Wow, that's come around quick. Head over there and make sure you enter that. But John, this is our podcast Sunday where we talk about a hot topic. What are we talking about today?
So today I thought it would be a really good idea to focus on one of the biggest things in Pokemon at the moment, and that is the collecting side of vintage cards. So recently, in the last few weeks, we've seen an even bigger rise in these prices, or I suppose not even price, more demand than anything else. We know since about March this year, ever since most people went into lockdown actually, prices of these vintage cards, sealed and singles, have just risen so high. Yeah. And then in recent weeks, we've had celebrities come out and say they're starting to buy Pokemon cards. And one that comes to mind is YouTuber Logan Paul, who recently spent $60,000 on first edition base set cards. And he's aiming to collect them all in PSA 10. And these are like mainstream celebrities who are coming out collecting Pokemon cards. I think it was PokeRev had a little podcast with what's his name, Gary V, who is massive in the investing business. And so it's gone from one gear where we thought, wow, this is going so well, to even another gear now. And we just want to have a little chat about it. I suppose about singles, but also about sealed. And then I suppose at the end, a bit of advice if you are going to invest in this area. It will just be our own opinions, but things which we've learned from being involved in all this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a massive topic, and you know, like you said, Pokemon cards are getting some mainstream interest as well, which is really exciting. But before we get into the first couple of questions that we're going to be looking at today, we've got a big question we'd love you to answer in the comments below, and that question is, what is your favourite vintage set? So when we're talking vintage set, what are we talking about here, John? Are we talking Wizards of the Coast set?
I think we draw the line for this question at Wizards of the Coast. So the last set being Skyridge. So you can have any of that first sort of wave of Gen 1 packs from like Base, Fossil, Jungle, Team Rocket, Base 2, all of them. Then into the Neo series, Neo Genesis, Neo Destiny, right into the E series, which has some amazing card designs. Probably my favourite card designs in that set. With like Expedition, Skyridge, Aquapolis, stuff like that. So any of them, which is your favourite?
So let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to see. We always try to reply to every comment on our videos. So drop a comment and we will get back to you on that and give you our opinion as well on your favourite set. But John, let's kick it off with a big question here. Now, obviously, we've seen these Pokemon card prices rising quite a lot at the moment. And obviously, probably the most talked about one is that Charizard. Vintage singles, are they going to continue to rise? Or are we just going to see a massive drop-off at some point here?
At the moment, I'm starting to worry a little bit about this rise. Because every month, I think it has to end at some point. It has to end at some point. There's going to be maybe a level out or even a drop, like you say, Tim. But at the moment, we're just seeing a rise and rise and rise. There's a few things. It's crazy,
isn't it? It's crazy. Just keeps on going.
It's massively crazy. And like, I suppose it's further. Like the prices are higher than we could ever imagined at the beginning of this year. Right now.
Yeah.
And I've got a few reasons why I think the price will continue to rise, but also a few reasons why I'm a bit wary. I don't know where you stand on the wariness or the excitement, I suppose, Tim. But one reason why I think prices will continue to rise just because the popularity of Pokemon is just going up and up and up. We talked about in the intro these celebrities coming on board, getting all these cards. You've got the people who in their 20s, 30s with the nostalgia wanting to get back into Pokemon. You've got people in their teens seeing the opportunity, I suppose, and wanting to get into Pokemon. but also you've got kids who are having their first ever experience of Pokemon, whether it's through the TV shows, whether it's through the new games, even if whether it's through Pokemon Go. I know your son Tim, who is very young but still loves playing Pokemon Go, and we're seeing for probably the first time 3 or 4 different generations just going for Pokemon, from the youngest to quite old. I know people who are well on in their life, let's say, who are enjoying Pokemon, and but that's the thing. I think it's an exciting time to be a Pokemon fan, let alone the money side of it. It's exciting because of how popular it is and how much it's not. I suppose it is a geeky, nerdy thing, I suppose, but it's not seen as like. Do you know what I mean? Like, not outcast, but that's sort of, I can't think of the word off the top of my head.
It's starting to become cool again, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
I think for a long time it's been looked down upon a little bit as being a bit more nerdy and geeky. I was with family just this last week and chatting with my brother-in-law, and I mentioned that I was collecting Pokemon cards and involved with that. And first of all, look on his face is like. He actually said that sounds like a waste of time to me. I think that was his exact comment. And then I started to tell him about some of the prices of Pokemon cards, and suddenly he was like, okay, that sounds a bit more interesting. And I think although it's not all about the money, I definitely think that has helped Pokemon cards and Pokemon in general come a bit more into the mainstream, because people are recognising, wow, actually this could be a worthwhile investment. Where we're seeing big increases on cards, and people are starting to take notice, like Logan Paul, like you said, and like many other celebrities, especially right now, that are coming into this. So it's quite interesting. It's exciting times for Pokemon.
I think it is, and I think that is one of the reasons why I think the price could keep rising, because this supply and demand issue. The more people who come into it, especially older people, will want them vintage cards, all that nostalgia around these cards. And I think as the user base rises, especially in the I suppose 20 plus demographic, we're going to see a bigger demand for these cards. But also on the flip side, we're going to have these people coming out realising they might have some cards up in the loft, or hidden away somewhere, and that means maybe more of these old Gen 1 cards will be flooding the market again. So it's a bit. I think the supply and demand issue will outweigh the oversupply, I suppose.
It is interesting, isn't it? I do think, like you say there, people finding them up in their loft and things like that. It's definitely getting harder to find Pokemon cards in places like charity shops and things like that. I think because now when people find old Pokemon cards, quite a lot of the time they don't just think, oh, it's just junk, just drop that off at the charity shop. People are starting to become aware, actually, these could be worth something. So there's less of those steals around. But okay, John, so that was singles. What about sealed sets? So vintage sealed still rising as well. We've seen that recent sale of that base first edition box for, like, what was it, 200 grand or something like that? Maybe even higher than that. I think 200 grand after fees, maybe. Like, I mean, is that going to keep on going up?
Again, I think we go back to this supply and demand issue. Because with these vintage packs, people love to open them, and you've seen on our channel, we've opened recently a vintage pack, and we loved it, and we know we want to open more of these vintage packs for content, but also because it's so much fun. It's expensive, but fun. And the things with these packs is real vintage packs. Once you open them, that's one gone. Unlike singles, and once you open them, get it graded, keep that that condition forever. Or for a long time. Whereas these sealed products, once they're opened, once a booster box is broken, it's that booster box is no longer a sealed booster box. That booster pack's no longer a sealed booster pack.
Yeah.
And it surely has to run out eventually. But I know, like, me and you are in some Pokemon sealed groups, and there is actually more than people realise around, I think. Like, people have hundreds of these booster boxes. But it has to end at some point, I think. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's got to. But I mean, you don't have to go far to find a new vintage pack opening on YouTube. I mean, they're coming out almost daily. People who are opening vintage first edition. I was talking about Skyridge, that short print run. These packs are getting opened, and especially with big YouTubers opening them. And the more that get opened, like you say, the less there are. And that price is going to skyrocket, and there is going to grow a bigger and bigger scarcity because they are getting opened. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. John, what are some of the other sets that we've seen go up in value? It's not just base set first edition, is it?
No, pretty much any first edition box in these last few months has gone up in price. First edition stopped. I think it was Expedition was the first set without first editions in English. Yeah, I know in Japanese, I think it carried on for a few more sets. They might even be on now, I don't know. But in English, it stopped after the Neo series, I believe. I hope that's a good fact.
Fact check.
First edition boxes, just because they're so rare, it's the first print run. They are just so rare to find now. Not even the price of them. Even if you have the money, they're so hard to buy because not many of them are available. And even if they are, it's so hard to find, I suppose, reliable sellers who you can trust that it's not been resealed. It's not a fake box. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to get these boxes, let alone the price of them. And we've seen prices rise. So a Neo Genesis first edition box is now around, I looked on eBay before this, and it's about $20,000 was the last sale of one. And I believe that's gone up probably almost double in the last year, maybe even more. But
it's crazy.
It's that amount of that rise in price is absolutely ridiculous, and I can see that just going up and up and up. I think Unlimited, even though these prices have gone up as well for these Unlimited boxes, you see Unlimited base go up in price a lot. I think this price rise will be slower because I think there is a lot more around. There's quite a few print runs of a lot of the early set. I know base set has 4 print runs, and there's probably multiple print runs in the other ones as well. So I think first edition sets, I think we'll, next few years, if this popularity continues, we're going to see an explosion in price. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see a base first edition box in a few years, if this trend continues, go for $500,000, maybe even more.
Maybe even more, yeah, maybe even more. And
I mean, you look at the comic world and you look at Action Comics #1, which is first appearance of Superman. The last sale of that was, I think, early 2011 maybe, and that was 3.4 million, and that wasn't even a Gem Mint 10 comic, that was a Gem 9.4. And collectors, if they have the money, they will pay the price of these unique items. And I think, will we get that way with these Pokemon cards? Who knows?
I think I saw a comment, I can't remember if it was on a podcast I was listening to or a comment on a video on Twitter or something, but I saw someone say that they can see Pokemon heading down sort of like that fine art category. You know, where you have celebrities and very rich people who will display pieces of art on their walls, fine art by different artists, and they could see Pokemon heading in that direction. I don't think they're far wrong there, really. No, I think there's definitely a possibility of that.
And like in that sense, like comic books went into that sense a few years back, and you had celebrities who you wouldn't think would collect comic books spend millions, and I mean millions of pounds and or dollars, whatever your currency is, on these comic books. I remember watching an episode, was it Storage Wars, I think it was, and or it might have just been a random storage YouTube clip where someone found an Action Comics #1 in their storage locker, and it was actually Nicolas Cage's comic, and he brought this, obviously, I don't know if he's a big comic fan, but it was obviously just a trophy piece, like this expensive comic. And I think, like you are right, I think we will go down that avenue of having people buy this to flex.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, John, before we go into our tips for today's video, and you know, helping people who are maybe looking to buy vintage cards, let's go for one more big question of the video. And this big question is, what was the question, John?
What is your favourite vintage Pokemon card? So before we went for what is your favourite set, but what is your favourite vintage Pokemon card? And
that's the one. Again,
we're going to use the same time frame, I think, aren't we, Tim? From base to Skyridge. Yeah. What is your favourite? Whether it's design, whether it's got a special nostalgic feeling, maybe it was the first card you ever packed. Just what is your favourite vintage card? Put it down in the comments below. See if someone's got the same favourite vintage card as you as well. It'll be nice to see what ones are popular.
and hopefully we won't just see 30 Charizard comments.
Yeah.
But if we do, that is fine. If Charizard is your one, that's fine. But John, just before we round off the video then, should people buy sealed vintage? And if they do, what should they be looking out for?
Okay, yeah. Firstly, if you're buying sealed vintage, you have to be very, very careful. In my experience, it's very hard to find. And also, there's a few things you need to look out for. Firstly, if you're buying packs, vintage packs, they're most likely being weighed. And if you don't know what this means, is they weigh the booster pack, and depending on its weight compared to other packs from the same booster box, it can be considered heavy or light. And even if it's not specified, most of these vintage packs, unless they're from a really reliable seller, which there are a few out there, they most likely have been weighed. So be careful. If it's a heavy pack, it's a lot more likely to have a holo in. So just be careful where you buy it, because you don't want to be spending hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars on these packs to basically be mugged off by someone weighing it or whatever.
And my personal opinion on that, John, is, and this is just the way that I do things, you know, you do whatever you want. I actually can't imagine buying vintage cards that aren't weighed. Just because, for me, if I'm spending hundreds of pounds on cards, I want to know that I'm getting something decent out of it. Not that light packs aren't cool. And I mean, especially, you know, first edition, base set, you know, a light pack could be incredible. Yeah, for grading purposes. But say if I'm buying, you know, a Team Rocket pack or a jungle or a fossil, I'm probably not interested unless I know it's been weighed. Just purely because if I'm spending that amount of money, I want to get a holo.
And I think I personally don't like the idea of weighing, but the fact of the matter is it is out there. People are weighing packs, and even though I don't particularly like the idea, I like the thrill of not knowing if you got a holo or not. But the fact is, if you're not clued into this area, you will get mugged off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Resealing, John. I mean, we've heard a lot about that. I mean, PokeRev released a video just a few weeks ago, which was like, wow, it made me realise this can happen to the pros. You know, he's talking about a time that he bought a resealed, well, I mean, can we even call it resealed? It was a load of random stuff in there, but a resealed first edition base set box. It can happen, can't it? And people can catch you out there. What is resealing? What does that mean?
It's basically, usually it's if someone's opened a vintage pack. Can happen to modern packs as well, but more common in vintage packs just because of the price. Opened them, got the good cards out, and then put either the same cards back in if it's a NAF pack, or put even different Pokemon cards in there, and they'll clamp it back up again and make it look, and to be fair, they do a really good job. Like, it looks quite a lot of the time sealed, unless you're really clued into what these packs look like. And that is again something you need to look out for. And again, why I advise, if you do buy vintage packs, go to someone who has a good reputation. I know there's quite a lot of people on Instagram who I follow who have really great reputations. There's some YouTubers who I know have got great reputations. You're looking at people like PokeRev, Tim just said, PeachyGaming as well. I know they've got a great reputation there. I've never used them, but go for people who you know are reliable, because you don't want to get mugged off. I know people who've thought they've opened in vintage packs and they've opened it up to get evolutions from 2016 in there.
Yeah,
and
it happens.
Yeah, make sure you're so careful with it if you're going to do it.
But all in all, I guess what we're saying is we love vintage. We love seeing the rise in vintage. We love seeing the rise in interest in Pokemon cards, and ultimately a rise in interest in Pokemon cards is only good for everyone who's interested in Pokemon.
Yeah,
it's a really good thing. So we're excited for the future. But I think we're going to wrap things up there. We loved having that chat. Let us know your answers to those comments in the comments section, I guess, below. But until the next time, my name's Tim.
My name's John.
And together, we are the PokeBros. See you next time.